Here we go. Happy May. Start with that. How are you doing on these challenge questions? Are you improving? Are you getting better? Remember, A, B, D, and E are kind of staying similar each and every day. The idea is you're learning from your mistakes until you master subtraction, multiplication, division, and addition. Here we go. When subtracting with decimals, you just have to make sure that all the values are lined up. 758 is what you have, so it goes on top, and you're taking away from it 92. 92 is the whole number, so it stays with the whole number, and then you put your decimal, 92 and 9100. Now you have 758, you're taking away 92 and 9100, so that means you have no tenths and no hundredths, because it's a whole number. Now you can't take 1 from nothing, you can't take 9 from nothing, so you're going to go all the way over to the 8 and say, hey, I need to borrow you. That whole turns into 10 tenths, and then you're like, yo, I need to borrow one of you. So that turns into a 9, and that hundredths turns into 10 hundredths. Once you get all of this borrowing done, the subtraction should be a lot easier. 10, take away 1, 9. 9 minus 9 is nothing. 7 minus 2 is 5, and then you come back to the same issue. If I have 9 and take away, if I have 5 and take away 9, you can't do it. So you got to come over here and take 100. 100 is worth 10 tens, so now I have 15 tens. 15 minus 9 is 6, and then 6 minus nothing is 6. So that answer is 665 and 9 hundredths. 665 and 9 hundredths. Let's go to multiplication. B. Okay, so we have a double digit times a double digit and a couple decimals. Ignore the decimals first and multiply. You know me, I like using the lattice method, but you use whatever method works. If you've not found a method that works yet, please go over the lattice method. I've seen it work so many times. Once you learn it, you will never forget it. So you just fill in each box. 9 times 8 is 72. 7 times 8 is 56. 9 times 2 is 18. And 7 times 2 is 14. Now, you use the slides to slide down the answer. The first slide under it is an 8. The second slide is 4, 2, and 1, which is 7. The third slide is 6, 1, and 7, which is like 7 and 7, which is 14. And then the third one is 5 plus 1, which is 6. Now we got to figure out the decimals. There's 3 decimal numbers here. There's 7, 9, which is 2, and then the 2, which is 3 total. So there's 3 total, and the only place you can put the decimal to make there still be 3 total is between the 6 and the 4. So it's 6 and 478 thousandths. 6 and 478 thousandths. Let's move over to C. C, we have 24 times 3 divided by 8 minus 4. Now, the first thing that we want to do here is we want to go ahead and get our 24 times 3 taken care of. So we put 24 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So that answer is 72. Now you have 72 divided by 8 minus 4. You always divide before you subtract, so 72 divided by 8. How many 8s are in 72? So you count by 8, or you remember that 9 times 8 is exactly 72. So this turns into a 9, and you do 9 minus 4, and that equals 5. So this whole answer is 5. Let's go down over here. We have 1,854 divided by 5. 1,854 divided by 5. How many 5s are in 18? 3. There's 3 left over. Bring down the 5. How many 5s are in 35? 7. There's nothing left over. Bring down the 4. How many 5s are in 4? None. And then what's left over? 4 fifths. So that answer is 370 and 4 fifths. Why is it 4 fifths? Because it takes 5 to make a whole, and you have 4 left. So you have 4 out of the 5 that you need to make a whole. And then you have 5 and 2 tenths. You have 6 and 3 fifths. And then you're going to add those together. 5 and 10, the first thing they have in common is tenths. And then 5 times 2 is 10, 3 times 2 is 6. So 3 fifths is equal to 6 tenths. 2 tenths is equal to 2 tenths. Now we have fractions that are the exact same thing, but the difference is now we have them with the same denominator. 2 tenths plus 6 tenths is 8 tenths. 5 plus 6 is 11. So the answer is 11 and 8 tenths, which is also the same thing as 11 and 4 fifths. In fact, some of you guys probably noticed, oh man, yeah, normally we go bigger, but look at Mr. Stahl. Here we could actually take 2 tenths and simplify it to 1 fifth. And look, now they have the same denominator. Life is easy. 3 fifths plus 1 fifth is 4 fifths. 6 plus 5 is 11. So the answer is 11 and 4 fifths. And then we have this last question here. It says a scientist found a lizard fossil that measures 27. And remember, this is splitting the whole number in the fraction. So this is called and. 27 and 145. 3 spots is 1,000 centimeters long. How long would the fossil be if it's rounded to the nearest hundredths place? Well, hundredths place is, oh, I forget, what's hundredths? Let me write down 100 and then put a decimal after the 1. Oh, I see. Hundredths place is the second digit after the whole number. So hundredths place, and then we look and we say, okay, that means the 5 gets cut off. Now, remember, the first number that gets cut off has the power to say whether or not this is going to round up or stay the same. Right now it's 14. Since 5's going bye-bye, it has the power to give it 1 more hundredths. So the answer is 27 and 15 hundredths. If you're still confused about this, remember, if you're like, oh man, so I just don't know, I just don't really get how to round. Well, if you don't get how to round, my suggestion to you is to make sure that you go on YouTube or something and figure out rounding decimals. And if you still have difficulty finding a good video to help you, email me. I'd be happy to find a good video and send it to you. And hopefully, that will fill in the gap to help your confusion. All right. What are we doing today, Mr. Stahl? Well, I'll show you what we're doing today. Today we are converting. And we're going to convert using the metric system for liquid. Remember, the metric system is the easy one. That is, King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, and then you use the metric system to help you. And then here, since everything's in liters, your base is liters, so everything has an L attached to it. And normally when we're working with liters, we only go between milliliters, liters, and kiloliters. So that's what you're going to use to help you with these 3 problems. And then over here is a different story, okay? Over here is a different story, and this is where life gets a little bit more difficult. So remember, the first thing that you have to know for these is you have to understand the units of measurement, and you have to understand how many cups, quarts, pints, and gallons are together. So remember, this trick I told you guys is you're going to go to the town of Gallington, right? And the G obviously represents a gallon. And then it has, he married 4 queens. Each queen had 2 princesses. And each princess had 2 cups. I mean cats. The C stands for cup, the P stands for pints, the Q stands for quarts, and the G stands for gallons. So the first question is 2 pints equals how many quarts? Well, there is a pint, there is a pint, 2 pints together equals how many quarts? Use this cheat sheet to help you with that middle box. And then the customary system is what fraction of a gallon is a quarter? So what fraction of a gallon is a quarter? Well, you see how many Q's are in a G. 1 Q is what fraction of a gallon? And then when you're done with these questions, because you should pause the video and complete those 7 questions. When you're done with those questions, work on these questions. Now you're using the metric system again and going from grams to kilograms, kilograms to milligrams, and milligrams to grams, which changes now, it changes all of these from a L to a G. So instead of kiloliters, it's kilograms. Instead of milliliters, it's milligrams. And then your pound, ounces, tons, those numbers are right here. And remember what I told you guys to do is do the old double blinker. And then just say if you're going from pounds to ounces, you have to make sure that you put LB and then put OZ. And then you're going to say what you know is 1 pound equals 16 ounces. And then on this side, you're going to say what you have. If I have 1 pound, how many ounces is that worth? If I'm going from pounds to tons, I just change it up. I put my double blinker here. Let's say I'm going from pounds to tons. And I'm going to say there's 2,000 pounds in 1 ton. And if I have 1,000 pounds, how many tons is that? Well, this is where it gets a little bit more difficult. You're going to have to take this and divide it by that. Yeah, you're going to take a smaller number and divide it by a bigger number. And then whatever that number is, you're going to multiply by 1, which basically means when you divide 100 by 200, that is your answer. It's going to be smaller than 1. And then do the same thing for ounces to pounds. And then your last question of the day is, at a garden center, grass seed sell for $8 per pound. Khalil spent $10 on grass seed. What amount of seed did he buy? And then you're just going to answer that question. And then I'll see you at 10:30. Sounds good? Sounds good. All right. I will see you then, ladies and gents.